Here we are.
Come on now.
What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, boys?
How you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're great.
Good hanging, man.
Hey, where are you guys right now?
Nashville.
Oh, never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Just
rolling down to Nashville, eh?
Fuck yeah, buddy.
That's sweet. I had to give you a come on now.
Woo!
Come on now.
Come on now. Hey, I'm having just a little trouble hearing you here.
Oh no.
Oh, it's all good. I'm just adjusting on my end.
Cool.
You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, real well.
How's that? There's that. We're good? We're good.
That's cool.
Yeah, sounding great.
Hey, there we go. So you guys are down in Nashville. You guys down in you at your place right now? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
My apartment. Yeah.
Right on. Whereabouts? I've never been down to Nashville. I've never been down. So you guys like close to like the downtown area or?
Yeah, I'm pretty close to downtown. We got the Sand Amphitheater. If anybody so that's a kind of a point of reference, but
what's the address?
I mean,
just
I
give
can
me
walk
the,
to
just
Broadway.
give me the exact address and
Yeah, exactly. I can walk to Broadway in 15 minutes, which is
Okay.
cool. Which is
Yeah, he's right there.
yeah,
He's
it's like
already
far
right
enough.
there.
I don't hear all the chaos during the weekend, but it's also close enough that when he's playing or when my buddy Blaine's playing, I can walk down there and it's cool.
far enough that you can get away from it, but close enough that you can get into it.
Yes, sir. By
Hey,
design, baby.
Yeah, that might be good for a T-shirt or something.
Yeah.
There you go. So I'll give a little background. And first and foremost, thanks for taking the time to hop on the podcast. It's nice to see you guys.
Dude, hell yeah, great to see you, man.
Yeah, likewise. So I guess a little background is I started driving bus, and ended up picking you guys up. You guys were in Newfoundland, right?
Don't remember.
It was Newfoundland, and then I picked you guys up at the Halifax airport, and I was your third bus driver.
That's right. It was at the airport. That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you guys I think you had somebody else, and then you had Bud, and then and then you had me. So
Right.
honest question. I know Bud's a legend. Out of the three, where was I at? No pressure. No pressure. You don't have to answer.
No,
so
out of the three, the vibes were. I mean, obviously, Bud being the legend, but Bud is in his own world. But you were a vibe. So
Completely.
why don't we put you and Bud tied for one, and we'll put the first bus driver fourth place.
he doesn't even make the podium of three.
Dude.
That-
We were
Okay.
4 days in.
4
He
days.
lasted 4 days. I don't know what happened in 4 days, but yeah.
I was. I heard he hung his underwear up right on the front there. Did you guys see that?
No, but I
No, that.
wouldn't put it past him.
I saw a pair of pants, but I didn't think I saw underwear.
Yeah. I think if there's like a 101 bus driver thing, you don't put your gitch up on the front of the
No.
bus where everybody's
Let's
driving.
not do
No,
that. Let's not do
probably
that.
not.
Probably, huh?
Yeah, I don't put
Or
my.
just
I didn't
any-
put.
Bus driver or any human in general, probably don't just leave your shit up like that
Just put your
in the
shit
middle
away.
of where everyone's coming through.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed about you guys right away is, I was nervous, and I got to be perfectly honest. That was the first time I ever driven a bus.
Really?
No way.
Can you believe that? I don't know if that makes you feel unsafe, but I've driven transport trucks and cement trucks and whatnot. First time I'd ever driven a bus. I felt pretty confident doing it. But when I first saw you guys at the Halifax airport, I was like, fuck, I am nervous. But you guys right away, you guys were just like, you cut the tension right to have. You guys are so friendly when I met you. And I was like, I like these guys, man. I like these guys. This is going to be a great time.
Dude, we gotta hang all together, for X number of days, in that tight environment. There's no reason to not kick it off kind of friendly and be cool about it. So yeah.
Yeah, completely. It was, and again, like to when you said a second ago that was your first time, I had no idea that was my first time in a bus. So being in the bunk, and the first guy, I asked him, I go one day just making conversation. I'm like, how's it going, man? He goes, I'm just trying to get used to these nights, man. And I'm like, well, I sure hope so. Because, and then, Bud was the captain of the ship for sure. But then when you jumped aboard, it was definitely cool. And it was just like, dude, you're the man.
You also had a Labatt 50 hat.
That's right.
Like, here we go. He's one of us.
That's right. I gave away that hat because when we were in Quebec City, there was this French Labatt 50 guy that he was playing a live show, and I ended up giving it to him for whatever reason.
That's nice. I would like that.
It may have been the really good French Quebec City weed. I never knew it was that great, but I was feeling good. I had a couple snacks, and and then that was that. So
we played a show in North Carolina, and a girl brought me a tiny rubber ducky, which I have no idea what that was for, but I would have preferred a Labatt 50 hat instead.
I think it's good. I ended up having about 20 of those, and I have one left. And it's still got the sticker on it, and it's still staying the same. That's good fashion. But you guys have fashion. You guys, are you both from Montreal?
I'm from Chicago.
Chicago. Oh, you're Chicago. Okay.
Chicago, born and raised, and then I moved to Nashville about 3 years ago, coming up on, and then we met
over a year now,
May of 2021.
Yeah,
and then just been hanging out ever since. But yeah,
just instant BFFs.
Yes. Yeah,
100%.
He was playing drums with a guy. We were doing a single release party, and I was playing, and we invited a guy, Johnny Gates, and Wes was playing with Johnny. Johnny loved the country punk thing and thought it was a cool concept, and said, "Hey, let's grab beer." So he brought Wes. Right away, we started vibing, and then we just kept running into each other out and about in Nashville, and then we started planning to drink together, and then we became boys, and we needed him for a gig, and he never left. So
that's cool. Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. It's nice to when you just meet with some of your buddies, and it's just it's that instant click. I know I've traveled around quite a bit, and it's just nice when you just dive with them, and it's good because I could tell that right away. You guys were together all the time, having a good time. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the whole point too, just to come out and have a good time, and to make the friends we made, and to be hanging with the people, and just trying to connect. It's not difficult to make friends, and it's just you just vibe out, and so it's easy.
It is. It's easy. I was gonna say too, Manny, is Montreal fashion. You guys can get away with anything. You guys, it's something always cooler as from Montreal. Everybody, especially the women. I've traveled around quite a bit, and I think the women are the most beautiful women in the world. But French fashion, it's just you guys are just you guys are on a different level, and you always just look cooler than everybody else.
I think there's
no offense, Chicago. Wes, you're always looking fresh too, buddy.
I think it comes with and I think it just comes with the confidence.
Yep, 100%.
Maybe a little bit of delusion. Quebec as a province thinks they're better than everyone as a start. So I think yeah, exactly. I think everyone just thinks that they can wear whatever they want and they can pull it off because they're better, I guess. I don't subscribe to that theory, which is why I moved down to Nashville. But yeah, so
well,
that might be why.
And that's true. And then when you're surrounded by it, it's a little bit easier. But you gotta wear, if you're gonna wear some quote unquote different things or new things, you gotta have that swag. You gotta have that swag about it. Wes, you said being on the bus, so that was the first time for you traveling around like that. Was that the first time for you, Manny, or had you done that before?
I did. I went on the road with George Canyon in 2019.
Okay.
And we had the exact same bus that we had.
Oh, really?
Out of the four that were, I know James Barker had their own. So out of the four that we could have been on, that was the exact same bus we had in 2019, which is hilarious.
Really? Same bunk? Did you rock the same bunk?
I was on the same side. I was the junk bunk that we had just above my bunk was my bunk last time.
Junk bunk. Now, Wes, you play drums. Has he put his junk on your drum set at all, being BFFs and whatnot?
I sure hope not, but if he did, I wouldn't put it past him.
He'll never know.
He'll never know. It's got to be done. Now, again, you guys come across and are, like I said, when I first met you, came across as really nice guys. And, I don't pretend to know you, but having, spent that 3 weeks with you, really nice people. But you were a fighter before, man.
Yes.
I was reading your bio. I was looking online. You tore your quadricep. And it's always those sneaky, nice guys who you got to be scared of, right? Like, if I have I have a few buddies that, if you look at them, you wouldn't think that they're, not tough, I guess, but like some of them are killers. Like some of them are absolute killers. So you got a background in MMA. Mm-hmm. Give me a little bit background of that. I guess the genesis of like how that started and then leading up until your injury.
Yeah. Well, I was playing competitive sports. I played hockey, soccer. I was a kicker in football. And I realized, I had a lot of buddies going to play college hockey.
Yeah.
I realized that wasn't really in the cards for me. And I had a buddy who
me neither
was doing join the club. I had a buddy who was doing karate and it was George St. Pierre's trainer was running Saturday morning classes and said, you got to come to these classes. It's really cool. And we'd watched the UFC and thought it was really cool. And as I started getting into it, I was like, well, I don't want to do karate, but I will do MMA. He's like, well, no, just start with karate, get a base. I'm like, nah, I'll just start with what I want to do. And so luckily my mom knew a trainer who would train MMA fighters. He was a strength trainer, like conditioning, and called him and said, hey man, I want to fight. I want to do MMA. My goal is to like actually fight pro. But I don't know where to start. I don't know how how to go about it. And he said, well, come down to the gym. I've got a fighter who is a great trainer. So at 16, I went down to his gym, started hitting pads with who was my trainer for 4 years, Nordine Taleb, who fought in the UFC. And that was it. And he said, I'm not gonna, there's this idea of like 6 months or a year when you're doing it, where you think you're invincible. You don't realize that it's just pads and bags at that time. So you think, wow, I'm so good. There's nothing anybody can do until you get hit. So he's like, I'm not having you spar till at least, your reaction time's good. You know how to handle yourself, whether you're overmatched or not, to, abuse a sparring partner. Cause then you never want to be that guy in the gym either. So you have to understand the concepts and how it all goes about. So I didn't spar till 2 years in, which felt like forever. And then once we started doing that, I didn't fight till 4 years in. Wow. And I ended up taking it was actually an amateur Muay Thai fight. And ended up winning. So retired undefeated, 1-0. And
you're retired 1-0.
1-0, baby. And so and a lot of guys from the gym had been there. There was some guys that were fighting that I had been sparring with who, it's like a community, all support each other. And they were saying there was the fight of the night. They thought it was absolutely awesome. My the crazy thing is that, when you play hockey growing up, your parents come watch the practices. They can, come see it and see how you're doing or whatever. MMA is not like that. You can't sit in the grandstands and watch a sparring or anything. So, for 4 years, my parents knew I was doing it. They knew my plan was to fight, but nobody really other than watching it and going, oh, I see some gaps, some holes or whatever. Anybody who has any concept of it can do that.
Right.
Actually stepping in and fighting, my fight 4 years in was the first time my parents had any clue of like what I'd be able to do. I was fighting third that night, and the first guy got knocked out cold. So that made my parents a little bit nervous.
I guess so. Like, what are you doing?
We had an opening combo plan. Because the amateurs, there's no film. So a guy could be just, freak out, tense up and just start brawling, or he could be a really talented and skilled guy. So we prepared for both. And the opening combo that we had planned was to indicate that. And then as soon as I locked in, my dad's like, "Oh, Manny's in. We got this." And so I ended up winning by unanimous decision. And it was great. It was a lot of fun. 2 weeks later, I'm trying to sit down and I have my hand on my thigh and I had this weird bump on my quad. I sent a picture to my trainer. I said, "Hey, what's this?" And he goes, "That doesn't look right. You should probably go get checked." And I was like, "All right." So it had torn and curled up, which is why I had like a little bump over my thigh. Kind of had to take some time off. Tried to box and like just work on my hands and keep improving, and just the weight shifting and the movement after a couple boxing sparring sessions, it kind of got a bit weak. It wasn't super painful. I just didn't feel like I had that bounce that I needed. So I really took time off and thought, I like to sing. I think it's a fun, for a guy who's not a singer, I felt like I can sing pretty well. So I picked up the guitar to at least, kind of accompany myself a little bit. And as I started doing it more and more, people started liking it more and more and asked me to do it at parties and stuff. And I was like,
sorry, before that, had you taken a punch or had you like fought before? Like, is there a reason like to get into MMA? Because sometimes when people get into MMA, it's like you gotta like get rid of some angst, or maybe you'd been in a couple of fights, but had before that, have you fought anybody? Or because I've been in a couple of fights and like I've been scared shitless. Getting in a fight and taking a punch. Nobody likes taking a punch, but
you don't like taking a punch. But no, not really. I was just ultra competitive. And I thought moving away from, I always identified as an athlete. So, moving away from sports that I knew I kind of didn't really have, much of a future in. I thought MMA, I liked it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was the most extreme competition you can do. It's literally one-on-one hand combat, I had kicked. So I had started MMA, and then I went to Cégep and I was kicking in football, and that was fun. And I don't know, I think about it now. I was like, had I stuck with it, I only played one season, but had I stuck with it, it'd be really interesting to see what would have happened from that. I feel like, I had only been doing it for a few months when I made my decision to actually, I paused MMA for a bit and went to kick and took some lessons on how to kick a football rather than a soccer ball, and had a kicking coach. And I was towards the end of the season, I felt like I was really getting into it. Like I was really figuring it out and getting confidence and things like that. So I had planned on playing a second season, but just kind of being the kicker, I was like, I'm missing that adrenaline of competition. It's like you get one kick, it's all the adrenaline. You got to do it, and then you succeed or you fail, and then it's over. And it's like, well, fuck. Now what am I gonna do? Like, so I missed the idea of competition. So I went back to MMA, and that's when I fought. But it was really just for the competition. I saw it as ultimate a compete, really, more than a fight. I saw it as a sport, where it's like the risks are a lot higher. And it gave me that kind of excitement.
Wes, is that why you don't want to know if he touched your drum set, because the guy's a fighter in the past?
You want to touch my drum set, buddy? Go crazy. I don't need a flying monkey kick to the head.
So some late night, you're always gotta rest, not always, but you gotta have a couple wrestling matches with your buddies, like late night. I know I used to have a roommate way back in the day. I'm old, I'm 41, but when I was like early 20s, my buddy was an MMA fighter, and he was huge, but I'd be like, oh yeah, a couple beverages, couple Ryan Cokes, I can fight, and I'm in a pretzel and I don't even know it yet. Like I'm just like this, just sideways. So.
Well, we used to do, I had all my friends were into the UFC. So we would do whoever's parents
were now too.
Sorry?
The UFC is great right now too.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. But we would do whoever's parents were out of town. Instead of throwing these crazy parties, we would all get together at somebody's house and go in the basement and do what we called fight night, which was just grappling, which I was obviously training in, was my least successful, I guess, um, style. So it's not like I was blowing anybody out of the water. And especially when you're training for people who know what they're doing, when you try to grapple with people who don't, it's just everything's weird. So we ended up going to whoever's parents were out of town. We would go to their basement and do these fight nights,
just fuck up
grappling and stuff. So yes. And then two guys went at it who didn't like each other we were in high school, and two guys didn't like each other. And so the one guy had him in a choke on his back, standing up, and he flung him against the wall, and his elbow made a nice hole in the drywall. And I asked my buddy, if that hole is still there, and he said yes. His parents still live in that house, and there's still the elbow mark in the drywall.
Still the
little memory. Throwing it back.
Just keep it there. They gotta go sign it. That's great. And then now you guys are in Nashville, but leading up to that, it was more so, you had the injury, you started playing guitar. What was your guitar acumen before that, and your voice? Like you mentioned, you're not a singer, but then you start playing guitar. Probably a little bit of the competitiveness comes in. Learn some scales, learn some guitar overall.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that playing guitar is way better than getting punched in the face. So it ended up working out pretty good. And when I wanted to make the switch over to really pursue music, I got my mom's support right away. So that was cool. Both my parents really. And that was it. So no, I just decided, like, I seen BB King play and thought that was really cool. And he seemed like, this is how stupid I was. It seemed relatively simple because I've never seen anybody play what I know now is lead lines in between singing. And I now know this is a very old school blues thing, but I'm like, oh, wow, he's not even playing guitar and singing at the same time. He's playing one note at a time. I can do that. So I get a guitar teacher and I go start learning guitar. I didn't even have, like, I had I think my mom had like an acoustic laying around. So I would try to mess around with it a little bit, but I went and bought an electric, the same kind of the Epiphone version of what BB King was playing. And my guitar teacher was like, well, get something that you like, something that is going to excite you. Cause the first 6 months of learning guitar sucks. So I'm like, okay. So I bought a little amp and I bought an electric, and he's like, so what inspired you to learn guitar? And I'm like, BB King. And so I wanted to learn what he was doing. So I'm like, he goes, cool. He goes, you know any chords? I go, no, but I go, does BB King play chords? And he's like, probably not. He's like, he doesn't. I go, cool. I don't need chords. He's like, well, no, you're going to need chords to understand, kind of how it all goes together. And I'm like, no, it's cool. I just want to do what BB's doing. He's like, it's easy. And I'm like,
that's that bravado. That's that Montreal bravado, right?
Yeah,
you got this.
Or just stupidity. It could also just be my stupidity. It seemed simple, and so I still can't play like BB. So
wow,
there's that.
You and everybody else that plays guitar too, right? Wes, so Chicago. So I'm a big Bulls fan, like every other person who grew up in the '90s. Huge Jordan fan. You playing drum? How does that come about? Like, obviously you guys met in Nashville, but you just rocking the drums and you look like you're just having a blast there. I only saw one of your guys' shows, and that was when I was in Peterborough. I live in Peterborough, so I brought my wife and her sister and her husband out there. So we had a blast, and you just look like and I've seen your videos, of course. Your videos, you just look like you're having a great time. So give me a little bit of a background on that.
Yeah, man. I growing up, like, my dad, he was always like the music guy. He had long hair, played guitar. He was like just like my big rock star hero. And I have an older brother.
Great guitar player.
He's a killer. We're like a year and a couple months apart. But we're always his best buds, like, Batman and Robin. I was always player one. I'm always player two.
Okay.
And my dad, he was just.
Is he older? Is he older? Okay,
brother,
so you were Luigi. Then.
Always,
you always had to play with
Luigi guy. And
sucked.
And we just, drums. I got my first drum kit. I was 4 years old. It it was like one of them little toy ones. My mom like put Robin logos on it because my brother's Batman, and like that cool, just man. Kept me like, holy shit, like this is awesome. And then as we got older, I got my first like real drum kit when I was 6 for like a birthday party. So like, here's the big reveal, and I'm a kid, and I'm just like, yo. And then my dad would have his friends come by every couple, or once a week or whatever, and they would just sit around and like drink beers and jam. And at the time as a kid, I was just like, holy, like my dad is playing. He's not trying to go out and do the bars. He's not trying to be the rock star, but they're just hanging out, learning like Sublime tunes and Red Hot Chili Peppers and like, Hendrix. And I just like, so I grew up like super classic rock, like everything. And then I just never put it down. I just was always like, drums were always first. I've never done like sports. I've never got punched in the face. Like, I've always just played drums. And
that's good. Have you ever been punched?
Never, not that I know of. I don't remember if I did. But it was just always a thing. And then like as we got older, like my brother and I, we had a buddy and we all just started playing music. We taught him how to play bass, and we never had a singer. We're always too bashful to sing. We never thought we have, never found our voice. So we were this 3-piece instrumental band covering everything from like Blink 182 to like Black Sabbath to like, we did everything. And then, as I grew up, like got a little older, when I was in high school, I was in like a ska punk band, and we had a horn section. And so I've always just been grinding and playing. And then early, my early mid 20s, I was like in a wedding, like corporate band. So, so we're wearing suits and playing all these places. And after so long of all that in different situations, I was like, my girlfriend is originally from Nashville. We met in Chicago. So I was like, let's go to Nashville. I was like, I think I got to get out of here. And then we did. And then my first couple months here, it was September. So like 3 months later, we had a tornado go through Germantown where I live. And then it's just north of the city. And then the shutdown was 2 weeks later. So my first like 6 months here was just trying to grind. And then it was like, boom, shutdown. So I just kept playing. And again, like I've just always loved it. And then when I got a chance to play on the tour, it was just like, this is the coolest thing in the world. Like, so it's like, there's no way I can not act like I'm having the best time of my life, because I'm literally having the best time of my life. So
it looks that way.
Yeah, Weston come on. And this is what I think was so cool. Weston come on to play drums. He came on to do some content stuff, just hang. I am, believe it or not, I'm quite an introvert unless I'm surrounded with, someone or people I'm comfortable with. And then it's just, the doors fly open. And I think even just for not really knowing anybody, because I've been in Nashville, I know that all the Canadian guys, have either toured together or seen each other around. They've been in it for longer than I have. So it felt like a cool thing to not only capture stuff for content, but even having, a buddy with me to go through this, because, alone would have been a bit challenging probably. And so the house band, Jesse had to leave the tour, and Wes stepped in, and that's what really made the whole thing, the last 7 or 8 shows made it so cool, because I had somebody who had my back when I'm going out in these arenas, and it's crazy, but it's like, cool, I got a piece of home with me. Then we actually get to do it together. It changes the whole dynamic and the whole vibe for sure. And obviously we play together. He knows, we know each other really, really well, as far as like when I'm going to do something, when he's going to do something. And so it just makes the song sound more cohesive anyway. And I think Jesse did a great job, but Jesse had to learn my songs, Sean's songs, JoJo's songs, and we didn't really have the time to all sit together and go, actually, what we do different live on this punch or on this thing is so, he played incredibly well, according to the tracks, but obviously you can't, in 2 days of rehearsal, you can't, replicate what we've been doing for a year. So having him be able to come on, and really, I get to not only feel comfortable because we've been at it for a month, but on top of that, now my songs get to sound live even more so the way I feel like we wanted it to be represented, I think was a really cool thing. So I'm glad you got to see, you know, in Peterborough, the ones where he was playing, because that I think really was the sort of Manny Blue show or experience or whatever you want to call it.
So you just put the light up in the sky, the Robin light instead of the bat. Just
yeah,
need Robin,
exactly.
baby.
Exactly.
Dude, down. Here's the thing so I was listening to the podcast yesterday. It's Derek Thompson on, it's called Plain English with Derek Thompson. It's on the Ringer Network. And they said right now is the first time in music history where there's more of an investment in previous music than there is in newer music. So it's like companies buying up a lot of these old catalogs. Mm-hmm. So, you know, those are more not necessarily more valuable, but they're getting the higher return on investment from a lot of these old catalogs. And then, you know, you're obviously able to stream that music. So the investment in a new artist is quite more significant than doing that. So you guys being like young musicians, coming into your own, living down in Nashville, doing your thing, working your ass off, driving around in Jeeps, playing music around the city out the top of it. Like, what do you guys like, you know, I know labels behind you and you have a lot of support, but how are you guys looking to separate yourselves differently than just from your music? Is there an approach that you guys are taking, or like what the competitiveness must be off the charts, especially in Nashville? Sorry if I didn't phrase that properly, but I think
no. I think it's. I mean, I've always been a little bit outside the box, and I think, you know, coming out and calling it country punk was quite defining. I think I moved away from having to talk about it just because, you know, we've had the success. It's a thing if you want it to be a thing. If not, it's just really you know, it's country rock essentially. But I take a lot of pop punk styles, sound, influence, whatever it is, because that's, you know, what I think is really cool, and it's having sort of a resurgence or a revival, I guess, in the last couple of years. So I think there's a bit of that. It's just being ourselves and just kind of being consistent with it, right? And just being undeniable every time you step out. And you know, whether it's a couple of shows in Carolina to 7 people, or whether it's an arena up in Canada to thousands of people. I mean, the idea is you got to put on a show. And, you know, you want the 7 people that come out to, you know, whatever, to go, this was fucking cool. You know, we're not a lot of guys on stage by design. I think it's easier to roll around, first of all. And it is just cool. And you know what? I've been down here for 3 or 4 years and had various styles within the band, whether we had a keyboard guy one time or 2 guitars or whatever it is. And nobody really understood what it was that I was trying to get to until I met Wes. And that's why I think we gel so quick on a personal level, on the friendship, but as well as music collaborators. And we had a band leader at one time, who is our guitar player, who'd been with me since I moved to Nashville. And he kind of, you know, as we started getting rid of guys that weren't showing up doing, you know, either knowing the songs or just they weren't showing up for the gig, you know, correctly. He was the last man standing, sort of. And so he by default became the band leader. And quickly, as we got into rehearsals and started getting ready for shows, you know, Wes and I are vibing on ideas. And he was like, well, let's just, you know, guys, let's not overthink it. It's like, it's a show. You got to think of everything, because then it's like you get there and then it's like, well, you know, if we want to do an acoustic thing, well, where's the stool going to be? Who's going to bring that stool? You know, like that's not overthinking. That's just trying to put on a flawless show. And
you're professional.
As I wanted to do different things, and I'm, you know, I'm looking around at what's going on. That's kind of what I got to do. And then take, you know, all these thoughts and ideas and bring it into, you know, what is my show, or what is our sound, or what is whatever we want it to be. Guys were starting to fall behind because they're stuck in what they think we should do, or what, you know. Wes was always a guy who was like, let's fucking try it. Let's just see what happens. And we can try it, and we can, you know, do this thing in this part of the show and just see how that felt. Or let's just do a show like this and see if we enjoy doing it for 30 minutes this way or that way or with these thoughts. So, it became really easy when, we kind of got rid of everybody, started from scratch and said, let's, Wes is my guy moving forward. And we're able to go play a show, just the two of us, and kick ass. And it's about performance. It's about ownership. It's about accountability. But ultimately just having fun. But you gotta know your shit before you have fun. And I think we've put in the work to do that. So, I just think, if you listen to the music, and especially what we're working on right now, or you come to a live show, it is different. And I think it's just about doing that, repeatedly, and to the point that you're undeniable.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because people want to put you in a box, right? Whatever that is. Music is music, kind of whatever that might be, and whatever that looks like. And who's getting a lot of country now? It almost sounds like a little bit of hip hop. It almost sounds like you got like the punk vibe, a little bit more rock. Like, what is country now? It's whatever these amazing artists like yourselves are coming out and creating. So what is that? It's yours. It's theirs. It's whatever it might be. I like that.
The biggest thing too, man, I would say, like, especially being in Nashville and playing music wherever you're at, Chicago, Canada, wherever you're at, it's just like, you got to give a shit, and you got to just care about what you're doing. And you got to, like, for me personally, like, it just never shuts off. It's always thinking about, like, the next step, playing drums, what we're doing, where we're going, and that's why it's like, okay, let's run the set. Let's see how we feel. Don't like this song, add this song. Like, we get to play music at the end of the day. We get to hang out and create and come up with cool parts. And so, like, yeah, that's the thing about, like, just being down here. And even if it's just showing up, playing our asses off, knowing our parts, giving a shit, having a good time, wearing too much black, and then and that's it, and I'm super grateful. We just have nonstop fun, and I love what we get to do.
Well, you can tell, and so much about music is it's contagious. And meeting people, like I said, when I first met you guys, your vibes, your energies, it's contagious. And then you see that now, just even chatting with you now, but then on stage, and then you're talking about, you guys are probably just thinking, Jordan and Pippen, man. You're just thinking like that's the same thing,
Looking
you're just
like Rodman, though.
Hell yeah.
Looking like Rodman.
That's great.
Yeah. Hey, man, he's a top 75 dude. He kind of did it his own way, man. Madonna, Carmela. No, just kidding.
100%.
So, you guys are traveling now, and so correct me if I'm wrong here. I see. So you've been doing a little bit of globetrotting here. Nashville on the 2nd, Montreal on the 12th. So you're Nashville now. Sorry. Yeah. Montreal on the 12th, and then London on the 24th. So I saw you on the Instagram there on the Instagram. I saw you on the Instagram and saw you on Instagram. 12. So you got globetrotting. Now both of you are going, correct? Both of you are. Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty cool. 3 countries in 1 month. Now, a couple of years ago, did you think that's the possibility, or you're just like, okay, fuck, we're doing our thing now. We want to work harder.
No, I think when I came to Nashville, being Canadian, the first question was, do you want to just do stuff in Canada and work down here and then go up there for shows? And I said no. I said I want to do US, I want to do Canada, I want to do wherever else it takes us. And we had gotten some really cool support on a song called Old Money up in the UK before the pandemic. So it looked like it was going to come together, and then obviously the pandemic kind of tore it all apart. So I mean, it was always an idea. I'd go to Australia, I'd go to anywhere that has country festivals or shows or tours, even rock festivals or shows or tours. We would. That's the idea. I mean, I'll be honest, like being Canadian and having done stuff in Canada, obviously the opportunities, like the Something's Never Changed tour, where we're in arenas, we're on a tour bus, you kind of want that, and you want to get used to you want to get used to that, and that's really cool. But then we came down, 10 days later, we came down to Nashville and did a 3-day Carolina run, and we're in a van with no AC to in a bar with not a lot of people, and that's just kind of part of the thing where you kind of just got to roll with whatever's happening. But yeah, the idea was to always kind of be more of an international global kind of artist, as long as the opportunities came, and we've built our team, our unit, to be able to do that when the opportunities show up. Just be able to go, hey, we got a show here, we got a tour there, we got a run over there, like whatever it is, and we can pack up and go and just be super self-sustaining. Is that the word? Yep. Self-sustaining.
Yeah.
and be able to put on the best show we can.
Yeah, again, that bravado, the Montreal bravado, and then the Chicago confidence. There's I've never been to Nashville, never been to. The Bears are struggling. That's for sure. The Bears are struggling. But man, I'm happy for you guys. I'm super pumped that I got a chance to meet you. And yeah, it was a great 3 weeks for me. And then, just get the chance to chat with you and then doing this. So yeah, I appreciate it. So you're going to London 24th. Tell me what you got left for this calendar year, and then anything planned for 2023. Give me any little,
yeah, we're working on
secret.
Well, I don't know if it's a secret. I mean, we're there's no date or any kind of idea behind it, but we're working on new music. I want to get a full length album going, but I don't want to, we're working very different on this one. Well, I think every project I've done has been very different, but we're really taking the time to make sure everything's right, everything's correct. We're stripping everything down and starting from scratch, and with no kind of end date. We've always kind of worked with, like, it'd be cool to put something out in the spring and then we work towards that, but this time it's kind of just like it'll be what it'll be, but the songs have to I want to, if it's 12, 14 songs, 10 songs, I want them all to hit nonstop and legitimately be undeniable. And so a lot of it's that we got another show in Nashville in September, and then I get married in October. So October's
like fighting. Are you gonna make weight? You gonna make sure your dad was
Actually, I'm on the decline now, so I'm really pumped about that. Okay. But we're good. So
and we tried on tour.
We
too.
did.
We really tried.
We did. It didn't get as bad as I was afraid it would. So we were all right.
I was at a wedding. I was at a wedding two weeks ago. Yeah, maybe 2 weekends ago. And I was the best man of the wedding 2 years prior to that, and I had a custom suit made. But I'm just like, this isn't gonna fit me. So I just had it. Didn't even try on the pants, and I just had them taken out 1.5 inches. And then it's like an hour before we're leaving for the wedding. I think I'm good. And I just pull up these pants, and they are just Ginsu tight, man. And then I roll into the wedding. I was Johnny Straight. I couldn't do anything because there wasn't enough time. So I'm just Johnny Straight Legs, basically the whole wedding. I couldn't move. I was like, damn. But anyways, back to the wedding coming up.
Wedding in October. So we kind of planned October for that, and honeymoon and all that, and then probably more studios. So anytime we're in Nashville, kind of just hanging, is going to be dedicated to the studio. So we're not overpacking with shows for the end of the year, because we really want to work on this record. And having the thing is, it's always been me and a producer, and now having a guy like Wes who knows we like the same shit. We just out of the gate, we enjoy the same thing. We have the same concept and ideas for a lot of things, whether it's show or songs. And so having him in the studio, helping with a lot of the songs has been really, really great. So this experience has been unreal, and we've only gotten, a couple of the sort of working demos back, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're probably going to be hunkered down in the studio for the last little bit of the year.
Honey, play me close like butter play toast. That's you guys right there. Just butter and toast. Well, yeah, like I said, boys, I'm pumped for you. I'm pumped for everything that happens in the future. I've been rocking to your music. Thanks, I thoroughly enjoy it. I'll fully admit I'm not a country guy, because I feel like there's unless like somebody makes me like a nice country mix, and then I like that. But there's so much. But then of course I was, while I was on the road, started listening to you guys, and yeah, it's great, man. And so I've continued, shared it a lot with a lot of my friends. So yeah, I wish you guys the best of luck. I think there's so much to be said about character. I don't know the music industry, but just as a whole, going forward, and it seems like you got the right attitude to just make it big, not make it big, but make it your own, and then just have no plateau and do your own thing. So I love that. Baby. I love that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, baby. Come on now.
Come on now.
Come on now. Okay, boys. Well, thanks again. Happy Thursday. And then, have a good weekend. And then for the rest of the year, again, congratulations on the wedding.
Thank you.
And then wherever you do go on your honeymoon, I hope you have a safe trip. And then I'm sure we'll be catching up with you guys sometime in the future as well.
For sure.
Heck yeah, definitely.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. My pleasure, boys. Good seeing you.
Good to see you too, buddy.
Take care.
See ya.
Okay, take care. Peace.
See you, man.